Okay, so today we're doing a little bit of a review. We are working on different types of word problems. We've already worked on word problems before, but we're doing it with stuff that we've already learned mathematically. So we've already learned how to add and subtract decimals and multiply and divide them. We've also learned already how to multiply and divide fractions, mixed numbers, so the math is not going to change. The math that we're doing today is going to be very similar, but we're putting in word problems. We're looking at different word problems and trying to figure out what is that word problem asking me. Is it asking me to add? Is it asking me to subtract? Is it asking me to multiply? Or is it asking me to divide? And by doing that, we've got to look for some keywords and kind of visualize the problem and really see what it's about and what it's trying to get us to do. So I've got 4 example problems that we're going to go over, and we're going to look for some keywords and kind of try to figure out whether or not it is asking us to add, if it's asking us to subtract, multiply, or divide. So because having the ability to do the computation and then being able to do the computation, the correct computation with the type of problem that you have when it's a word problem and a real life problem is the next step. So today we're taking that next step. We're going to learn how to break down word problems. So I'm going to switch over to the screen, and I've got 4 that we're going to look at. Alright, the first one says Chris is cutting a roll of cookie dough into pieces that are a 1/2 inch thick. If the roll is 10.5 inches long, how many pieces can he make? So what I want to do is visualize that problem. So I've got a 10.5 inch roll of cookie dough. So there it is. I got it rolled out. This is 10.5 inches. And it says he's cutting it into pieces that are a 1/2 inch thick. Well, if it's a 1/2 inch thick, that he's asking me to cut it into several different 1/2 inch thick portions. So it's going to, look like that. Every little cut is going to be less than 1 inch. So there's going to be a bunch of cuts out of this 10.5 inch long one. So what I'm doing with this roll is I'm dividing it into different sections. So I'm going to take 10.5 and divide it by 1/2. Well, now I know how to do that. I got to change this to an improper fraction. 10 times 2 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 2. And then this is already a fraction, so I can just change it to multiplication, flip this to its reciprocal, to 2 over 1, and work it out. I cross reduce here, get 1 and 1, and I get 21 over 1. So I have, how many pieces can he make? The answer is going to be 21 over 1, which is 21. 21 pieces. So looking at this problem, I was able to visualize it, figure out what the math was, and then work out a very simple math problem. Alright, so we've got number 2 here. It says to make a batch of fruit punch, Landon needs 2 2/3 cups of blackberry juice. So a batch of fruit punch. So that's one batch. He needs 2 2/3 cups of blackberry juice for that one batch. If he wants to make 2 3/4 batches of punch, how many cups of blackberry juice will he need? So basically what he's doing is he's making 2 3/4 batches, which is a good bit more than one. So if he has to use this much for one, how much is he going to have to use for 2 3/4? So to figure that out, I take the 2 3/4 batches that I need to make, and I'm going to multiply it, because this is 2 3/4 times more than the one batch. So I've got to find out what 2 3/4 times more than 2 2/3 is. So I do 2 3/4 times 2 2/3. Now we're going to do this the same way that we did the problem before with changing these to mixed numbers, but since it's a multiplication problem, we're not going to have to flip the second one. So we've got 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11 over 4. So I'm going to rewrite this over here, 11 over 4. Done with that one. 2 2/3, so 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 8 over 3. Let's multiply here. Alright, Can I cross reduce? Absolutely. 8 and 4 can be cross reduced by 4. 4 becomes 1. 8 becomes 2. 11 times 2 is 22. Over 1 times 3 is 3. Now I say, how many times will 3 go into 22 to change this improper fraction back to a mixed number so I get my answer in the same form as the problem is? 3 will go into 22 7 times. 22 divided by 3 is 7 with a remainder of 1, so that 1 goes up on top as the numerator and the denominator is 3. So I'm going to need 7 1/3 cups of blackberry juice. So when I get my answer here, that's all fine and good that I have the correct answer, but I need to put it back in word form because I'm working out a word problem. So 7 1/3 cups of blackberry juice. Alright, so those two right there, we already knew how to do the math. We've been doing that for a couple weeks now. So we just had to figure out what the problem was asking me. And to do that, you've got to look at it very carefully. You've got to read the question very carefully, and you've got to look at the numbers and really look at it as a picture. Visualize what's happening as if you were in the real world working out that same problem for yourself. It's better if you think of it as you being in the problem trying to figure it out and really put yourself there, as opposed to just thinking about it as somebody else. So instead of Landon, it's going to be whatever your name is. You're going to be the one that puts yourself into the word problem and really tries to figure that out. It's a problem solving. You've got a problem, you got to figure out how to make it work. Alright, so coming down here to number 3, it says Micah, or whatever your name is, had $10.52 after he left the bookstore. If he bought a book for $6.39, how much did he have before he went to the bookstore? Alright, so this one's kind of tricky, because you would think if Micah went to the bookstore with $10.52 and bought a book for $6.39, you would subtract. But this says that he had $10.52 when he left. So if he had $10.52 when he left, and when he was in there he spent this, it wants to know how much he had before he went in. So instead of subtracting these two, you've got to take the amount he had left plus the amount he spent to figure out how much he had when he went to the bookstore. So I'm going to take $10.52, add $6.39, and get my answer. So 2 plus 9 is 11, so 1, carry my 1. 5 plus 3 plus 1 is 9. Bring down my decimal. 6 plus 0 is 6. 1 plus nothing is 1. So he had, when he went into that store, $16.91. Alright, so if we rephrase that problem though, and say that he had $10.52 when he went in, and he bought a book for $6.39, how much did he have when he left? So now he starts out with $10.52, bought a book for $6.39. How much does he have when he leaves? So I can take $10.52, subtract $6.39, and I can't do 2 minus 9, so I have to borrow from the 5, make it a 4, make that a 12. 12 minus 9 is 3, 4 minus 3 is 1. Got my decimal there, 10 minus 6 is 4. So that would have left him with $4.13 if we rewrite the problem as Micah had $10.52 when he went in the bookstore. If he bought a book for $6.39, how much money did he have when he left the bookstore? So I took one problem, turned it into 2 different problems so you could see a subtraction problem as well. Alright, the last one we've got here, it says Noah measured the length of 3 pieces of cloth. So the first thing I'm going to do is visualize that I have 3 pieces of cloth sitting on my desk, or sitting in front of me on the ground. Whatever you need to do to make it work. The measurements were 4 4 2/9 feet. So I'm going to take pieces of cloth, 4 2/9, or I'm sorry, 4.29. I got 3.6, so that one's going to be a little bit shorter. And then 2.34. So that's going to be even shorter. I'm running out of room here, so you have to look small there. So I've got this is what was the total length. So now if I want to know the total length, then I can take these and just kind of line them up. So if I line them up, I'm adding them together. So to do that, I would do 4.29 plus, and I've got to line up my decimals, so I've got 3 decimal numbers. Go ahead and put them in order. 3.6 and 2.34. Put a 0 there for that just to make it easier to look at. 9 plus 4 is 13. Carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 6 is 9. Plus 3 is 12, so 2. Carry my 1 there. Go ahead and bring my decimal down for the answer. 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. So it's going to be 10.23, and we were dealing with feet. So this is 4 different, or actually with 4 different types of question. We did 2 that had addition. We did 1 that had subtraction once I rewrote the problem for number 3. And we did a multiplication as well as a division problem with mixed numbers and fractions. So you have seen each kind. You should feel a little bit more comfortable now about how you're going to do word problems when you see them. You should kind of know how to visualize them and figure out really what it's asking you to do. So at this time, you're going to have an assignment that's going to have some word problems in it. So if you need to refer back to the video and really look at it, how it was visualized and how we figured these things out, then do so and do the best you can. Good luck.